Alright, welcome back to another episode of F1 Manager, and here we are heading to the Austrian Grand Prix, round 11 on the calendar. And last race was a very good race. Everything went perfect in the British Grand Prix, and if you haven't seen that, check out the playlist and scroll to the previous video and you will see. But spoilers alert, we got a Ferrari 1-2 once again, and it's just pin perfect. Now, we've got the Red Bull Ring coming up. Should be a solid track for us, but we have to find out once we get into practice. Looking at our emails, we are leading the Constructors' Championship by 72 points, with Charles Leclerc on the top of the Drivers' Championship by 37 points. This is going to be interesting. So, we did make some upgrades. I'm going to keep up the hard work, and let's head to the weekend.
The battle is surely going to rage this weekend. Welcome to the Green Hills of Austria. The Red Bull Ring hosted its first Grand Prix in 2014, and it's been spectacular ever since. The Red Bull Ring is one hungry beast of a power track. Drivers face a steep climb up to turn 3 and a fast ride downhill through wide corners and straights thereafter. There's plenty of opportunity to overtake here, especially with the help of 3 DRS zones. The season is about halfway through, and it makes me wonder what else is in store for the teams. Well, there's only one way to find out. The competition is on.
Radio check.
Radio check, okay.
Well, the Mercedes is also coming out. I wonder who that will be. George Russell. Right. Loving this camera shot here. Second to last corner. What is this time going to be for Charles Leclerc? George Russell with a 1:04.5. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, with a 1:03.7. What a flying lap from Leclerc. Only setting greens. On board, what's this lap going to be then? Only 4th fastest. Interesting.
I think there's been a lockup.
Ocon locking up in turn 2. Schumacher crosses the line. Only 12th fastest. Kevin Magnussen, meanwhile, stays in 8th. What about Lando Norris? Can he improve his time? No, still looking likely to what it was. Let's go on board with Lewis Hamilton. Round the final corner now. What is his time going to be? Is he going to improve, or is he going to stay 3rd fastest? Only stays 3rd. Meanwhile, Perez heading to the second to last corner of the Red Bull Ring. What is he going to do? He's looking very pacey, but is it going to be enough? No, only stays 2nd fastest. Max Verstappen stays in 7th, surprisingly. Yeah. That lockup from Ocon cost him, and he is out of qualifying. Meanwhile, the Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel, for the first time, has made it into Q2. Carlos Sainz setting a Sector 2 purple. Love to see that. Can he possibly improve in Sector 3 though? Going past the second to last corner. Nice camera angle shot there. Final corner. Foot to the floor. What is this lap going to be? Is it going to be fast enough to get past Perez for pole? No, only 4th fastest. With a 1:04.6. Well done. He did improve in the last sector, but it's just not enough. Can he set another purple in sector 2 though? Looking likely. And he does. This could be looking like a really good lap for Charles Leclerc. Around the second to last corner. Look at the camera angle shots, foot to the floor. Is this going to be enough for pole position for Charles Leclerc? And it is, he's on pole. And that is pole position so far in the session. A 1:03.7 is what everybody has to beat. All purples. Love to see that. Only 15 seconds remain in Q2. Carlos Sainz setting the best sector 1 of the session so far. Got Alpine up ahead of Fernando Alonso. That sector 1 does turn to green. He's not improving in sector 2. Charles Leclerc meanwhile setting the best sector. Checker flag. When he starts to improve in the last sector, if he wants to get out the field. Norris stays in 9th. Tsunoda finishes his lap. He is out. Carlos Sainz meanwhile moves up into 2nd. Charles Leclerc setting another purple sector. That car's on another level. Hamilton stays in 5th. Got the Mercedes of George Russell up ahead. What's he going to put out in this car? Is it going to be enough? Stay 6th. Leclerc still on pole. And that is it. The 2 Hasses out. Vettel out of qualifying. Tsunoda and Albon also out. The 2 McLarens making it through. And this is a Ferrari 1-2. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of Max Verstappen just about doing his lap. Only 2nd fastest. 1:03.9. So the Orange Army around the circuit, rooting for Max Verstappen. Sainz setting the best sector 1 and 2, so he's on a roll here. Look at this. On board of Sainz, around the final corner. Is this going to be enough for pole position though? Is he going to improve in the last sector? No, only a personal. But he is up into 2nd place, a 1:03.7. That was a good lap from Sainz. Leclerc going fastest in sector 1, setting another purple once again. He could possibly stick it up into pole here. Despite him already being on pole position, he could possibly extend it. He goes fastest in sector 2 as well. That Ferrari is on rails, literally. So this track, very comfortable for Charles Leclerc. The right setup, right everything. It's all down to the last 2 corners. Is he going to improve and go all purple? We will find out here. What is his lap going to be? Checker flag goes out. And Charles Leclerc is on pole. Extends his pole position time on the board. That's the time for everyone that needs to beat 1:03.6. Can anyone destroy that lap? George Russell, where's he going to finish? 5th fastest. His teammate Lewis Hamilton gets ahead of him. Max Verstappen stays in 3rd. So Verstappen couldn't beat the lap. It's another Ferrari 1-2 as it stands. Unless Perez can spoil the party. Is he going to go fastest? No, stays in 4th. Alonso finishes his lap, goes 7th fastest. It is another Ferrari 1-2. Charles Leclerc on pole position once again.
Welcome to race day. And before we get down to it, last minute checks are being made.
These past few days, Ferrari have been absolutely thrilling their fans. Now let's see if they can make the Tifosi proud by capitalizing on that grid position. This weekend, Red Bull displayed real promise during qualifying, but will they fulfill that potential by the time they reach the checkered flag? And the sky is looking grey and cloudy today, An effective tyre strategy could prove very valuable as the race plays out.
And this is the moment where it all comes together. So prepare for another thrilling race here at the Austrian Grand Prix.
Alright, it's going to be a wet race. Pretty interesting. Alright. We're going to put them both on a one stop, but it's going to be raining later on, so anything can happen. But that's what we're going to do. Charles Leclerc, pretty confident with the car. Let's hope to bring home another win for the team. And let's get underway.
The drivers have now taken position on the grid, and it's looking like a cloudy day. And there is Charles Leclerc. They're in pole position, and they've got to be happy about that. And further back, there's Sainz. After an impressive qualifying performance, they're starting today just behind pole. Everything's been building to this. It's the race we've all been waiting for. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Pretty steady start underway from the two Ferraris. Sainz leading away from that. Okay, never mind. Verstappen getting past in the first corner from Sainz. Charles Leclerc leading the way. Max Verstappen is on the charge here and already the first lap, so he's got a brilliant start. Meanwhile, you can see in the background, Perez getting off poorly. Look at this! George Russell going down the inside. No, sorry, Hamilton. Russell thought about it. We had to see that just about. That was a crazy overtake for one of the Mercedes. Meanwhile, here goes Fernando Alonso, possibly round the outside, but no, Hamilton gets the edge. That was a crazy start. Jesus Christ. On board of Fernando Alonso. Hamilton going defensive. Perez meanwhile behind Alonso. And we've seen the Red Bull with that rapid straight line speed, so he could possibly get past if he gets a good run. But it doesn't really look likely as Alonso pulls away. Meanwhile up ahead, Carlos Sainz going round the outside possibly on Max Verstappen, but Verstappen shuts the door. Sainz tried it, but it didn't work out. But it looks like he's getting a good getaway. Taking the outside line once again. But that Red Bull straight line speed is just too much. Here goes Carlos Sainz around the final corner, taking the edge, side by side. Is Carlos Sainz going to get past? And it does look likely. Carlos Sainz up into second place once again. And as you can see in the background, Sergio Perez thought about making a move on Alonso, but he was just too far back.
Oh, and Ferrari just gained a place.
Alonso with DRS, Hamilton's just a sitting duck. Meanwhile, here comes Sergio Perez. He could possibly make a move, but look at this. Alonso getting past Hamilton into turn 3. Sorry, turn 2. So that was a good run from Alonso. Meanwhile, you can see Sergio Perez getting past Hamilton. Hamilton's just a sitting duck as they both get DRS. And Sergio Perez up into 5th. On board of Sergio Perez, you can see Hamilton with the DRS. Perez is thinking about making a move, but there goes Lewis Hamilton down the inside, and oh, there was a big contact from the Mercedes driver. Bottas going into the back of him. I think Hamilton went into the back of Alonso there. Sparks everywhere. Here goes Sergio Perez meanwhile around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Gets it past pretty comfortably, but Alonso's not going to give up without a fight. But Perez gets past. Doesn't look like on Hamilton's car that he has damage. So he should be alright.
We think there is some rain coming.
Copy.
Rain. Wet weather predicted. So that's going to be interesting. As we already said before the race starts, rain is coming, but we just don't know when. Meanwhile, here goes Max Verstappen round the outside into turn 2. Is he going to make the move stick? Leclerc defending on the inside. Oh, this is brilliant racing we're seeing here, but Verstappen and Leclerc still side by side. Leclerc will have DRS and Verstappen backs out.
There is some rain coming.
Copy.
Yep, rain is here. Rain has arrived. It's going to be 70% rain in 2 minutes.
Reporting a lot of rain.
Copy.
Nobody looks like they've boxed yet. But since there's going to be 70% rain coming, we might need to go in the wets. Not quite sure if it's inters or wets. But despite there being 70% of rain, it is most likely wet.
Just a reminder on your eyes.
Yeah, copy.
So we're going to pit Leclerc for wets. And we're going to pit Leclerc this lap for wets. It might be a little early, but we don't know. But Verstappen is following us on the way. So this looks like the right time for a pit stop. We're going to leave Sainz out just to see how it is. We need a good pit stop here. We're going to the wet tyres. Verstappen also going on wet, so we made the right call to go on wet. Perez staying out meanwhile, so he will most likely have to pit another lap. We're going to tell Sainz to box this lap for a set of wet, so I was right. Yeah, everybody's coming into the pits right now. Vettel, look at this. The fucking pit box is going to be absolutely crowded with traffic. You can see the McLaren coming in, going on board with Sebastian Vettel. How is his stop going to turn out to be like? Vettel, meanwhile, going on intermediate, so he's thinking inters are going to be the right call. Getting held up, casually running over his mechanic. So some of the drivers going on inters, some are going on wets. So this is going to be very interesting, as some think that is going to be the right call for intermediates. There's going to be 50% rain in 4 minutes time. So Hamilton and Alonso and some of the other drivers going on inters. Meanwhile, Verstappen, Leclerc, Magnussen, Albon and Gasly on wets. So this is going to be interesting of how this is going to play out.
Really?
On board with Carlos Sainz as he's going for his pit stop. So we're going to put Sainz on another set of wets. Well, I say another set, not really another set, his first set. Perez going into the pits. We're going to go on board with Sergio Perez. What is his team going to put him on? Is it going to be on wets or intermediates? We will find out. It's going to be another set of wets. So Red Bull are thinking that wets are the way to go. Meanwhile, the Mercedes team thinking that it's going to be inters. So this is going to be very interesting how this is going to play out. Very, very interesting. Meanwhile, I was going to say Latifi's still on mediums, but he's going to be boxing. Schumacher's saying that on hards. So Schumacher's thinking that, oh, it's not, it's fine on hard, but down the inside goes Kevin Magnussen on wets. So I don't know why Haas is still keeping Schumacher out. That is very interesting. And look at this. 6 cars now. Having a crazy battle. You can see Sebastian Vettel trying to get past his fellow friend Mick Schumacher. Going on board with Sebastian Vettel. You can see, look at the back. Alex Albon gaining, and so is Pierre Gasly. Vettel just having to hold back on the Haas. Schumacher's holding everybody up here, despite him being on hards. Vettel trying to get past Schumacher. Just slow. As another car is wide in Sector 1. I wonder who that is. Not quite sure who that is, though.
I think someone's run
There's
wide.
Norris running wide in turn 6. Gonna see a replay of that.
Look. Watch this. We're looking at Lando Norris. Well, I don't know what they were thinking there. They're completely off the racing line.
Well done. But Alonso's coming into the pits, and so is Lewis Hamilton following him in. So what is Alpine and Mercedes thinking of doing? And they started to put on wet tyres, so all the intermediate runners are switching onto wets. Alonso guessing ahead of Hamilton. Russell coming in for his pit stop. So the people who thought it would be intermediate conditions boxed for another set of wets.
Copy.
It's a yellow flag in sector 1. I don't know what's happened. There's been a crash apparently. Multiple cars involved. And it looks like Hamilton with a penalty, it seems. So what has happened with Hamilton?
It's a collision.
Oh, Hamilton with no front wing. What has happened here?
Now, just watch the Mercedes here.
Huh. Hamilton, Alonso. Alonso defending of Hamilton. Hamilton just going into the
Clearly
back
see
of
the
Alonso.
contact there, and that caused
Jesus
a lot
Christ.
of damage.
So that's cost Hamilton. Hamilton on inters. So he's already made another stop for intermediate tyres. And he's the only one in inters. So Hamilton with a penalty, he's going to have to box his lap for a new front wing. Not what Toto Wolff would want to see. What's going on here? Oh. So Hamilton's serving his penalty. Meanwhile, putting on intermediate tyres. 3 minutes until 55% of rain is going to be coming. So Hamilton and Mercedes are thinking intermediates are the way to go. Because they may be paying out later on. Confusion at pit stop. And here comes Sebastian Vettel. Going to be a close exit between Vettel and Hamilton. See two Aston Martins in the background and the Alfa Romeo of Zhou Guanyu.
I think we've had a car run wide.
Hamilton running wide in turn 9.
Let's take a look at the replay. Now, just
Hamilton's
watch
really
the
struggling.
Mercedes here.
Goes very wide.
They've taken that far too wide, and now they're paying the price.
Okay, so the gap behind for Leclerc and Verstappen, 24-3. So Leclerc could possibly make another stop on the wets and go to the end. So we're going to bring Leclerc in just to play it safe.
Box this lap, box.
Copy box.
And charge button on.
All good. Decline.
Understood. And speed limiter on.
So Leclerc should be getting out comfortably ahead of Max Verstappen. Good stop, 2.6. I'm just going to tell Sainz to go all out and push.
Head down and push.
Copy. Copy.
So that way we can get a pit window gap between Sainz and possibly put him in for another stop later on the end of the race.
Just look after these tires.
Copy.
See Verstappen in the background.
Box, box, speed confirm and box.
Yeah, happy to box.
And big lift off.
Okay.
Another driver's locked up apparently. In sector 2. Looks to be one of the Red Bulls on the mini-map. So the Red Bull's going very slowly. And then Perez locking up in turn 3.
Let's have a look. So let's look at this. There's Sergio Perez, and there's the lockup. It
Goes on the
almost got
gravel.
away from
Jesus.
them entirely.
And charge button on.
Copy.
Sainz, meanwhile, going to the outside line, getting past Max Verstappen is Carlos Sainz. Up into second place is Carlos Sainz. Possibly, but Verstappen gets a good exit. This battle ain't over yet, but Verstappen just about gets ahead.
Red Bull moved up.
Look at Carlos Sainz. Could possibly make a move into the second to last corner. This is going to be very tight. Sainz goes down the inside. Oh, Max Verstappen for second place. Look at this.
They are doing what?
You can hear the fans cheering for the Ferraris, I'm assuming, but they are enjoying this racing despite it being wet conditions. Only a couple more corners to go for Charles Leclerc. He's going to be very delighted with that win. Dominating all weekend from the practice sessions to the qualifying sessions. Q1, Q2, Q3, Leclerc has been dominant, and he goes round the final corner and takes back-to-back wins as Charles Leclerc is your race winner. Leclerc wins in Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix. It is another win for Charles Leclerc to add on to the tally. Carlos Sainz comes home in second place for another Ferrari 1-2. Simply lovely. Winning in Verstappen's backyard. As Verstappen comes home to take a podium for the Orange fans, will love that. The Orange Army will be delighted, even though they wanted a win. That is a good haul of points, taking maximum points, and Leclerc taking the fastest lap. That is just delightful.
Well, this was definitely Charles Leclerc's weekend. Everyone involved in Formula One dreams of seeing their driver up there on the podium. And the Monegasque driver certainly proved his worth with a terrific drive today. But there we see the three drivers with the biggest haul of points. And of course, the silverware to boot. Ferrari had a very good race, proving they're definitely a team to contend with.
It's really wonderful to see all the hard work they've been putting in paying off like this.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
As we reach mid-season, the battle will pick up again in the Côte d'Azur. Join us in the south of France at the circuit Paul Ricard.
Loving this, loving that. Charles Leclerc wins in Austria, takes home maximum points. Carlos Sainz taking home 18 points. Is another Ferrari 1-2, just what we love to see. Extending his lead. Look at the gap in the championship. It's Leclerc's 8th win of the season and his 9th podium, taking home 5 fastest laps, as you can see on the right hand side. Loving that. Alright, but that is it for today's episode of F1 Manager. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's been a crazy race and just joy for the Ferrari and the Tifosi. And stay tuned with your notifications on, and I will see you lot in the next race where we go to Circuit Paul Ricard in a bit.